Hi, everybody. We are starting week 6 of class. I can't believe it. Can't believe it's already been that long. This week I'm starting something new and hopefully really fun and interesting for all of you. Based on your first discussion board post, I made a list of things that you are all interested in, what you want to do with your careers, and some of your personal interests. And I'm taking that list and using it to call on local business owners and managers in those fields and talk to them, interview them about topics we're studying in class and how that applies to their specific field of work. And I'm doing that for 2 reasons. My first hope is that after I make an initial connection, it could mean, and it has the potential to be, a real job or internship opportunity for all of you. So after I interview them, most of them are willing to speak with students, all of you, outside of the classroom. So I just want to emphasize, take advantage of this opportunity. These are local people. They're right here in Sacramento. So it's your chance to politely and professionally reach out to them. Start with thanking them for doing the interview for class because it takes time away from their business. And then ask questions about internships, volunteer opportunities, or just tips for advancing your career, especially if you're interested in the field of work that they are in. So the second reason I'm doing it is that it's just inspiring and fun to hear from some people right here in Sacramento who are doing things that you also want to do. So the first person I'm interviewing is named Erin Stumpf. She's a local realtor and she is president-elect of the Sacramento Association of Realtors. So the reason I interviewed her as a realtor is because many of you are interested in real estate, and all of you will enjoy the interview, for sure. I enjoyed the conversation. Erin is a creative and thoughtful marketer, but I filmed this interview with a couple of you specifically in mind, and I was thinking of JC Levins, Chantel Williams, Andre Bolson, Diamond Brown, Kyla Razai. I'm sorry, Kyla, I'm probably saying your name wrong. Also, Ashley White, Aishat Bibulatova. I'm sorry, Aishat, I'm probably saying your name wrong as well. Lisa Andrade, Daniel Luna, Andrea Fernandez, and Crystal Wood, among any others who are interested in real estate work. So this week we're also reading chapter 5 from the book, The Role of Research in Marketing. And what's cool is you will hear Erin Stumpf talk about research. She might not use the word research, but she's mentioning things like surveys and investigating things, watching statistics on the performance of her marketing. All of that is research, as you will read in the book. So let's take a look at the interview. Can you give us a brief introduction, tell us how you got started in this field, and maybe your relationship to the Sacramento Association of Realtors would be great.
Yeah, well, my name is Erin Stumpf, and I am an associate broker with Coldwell Banker in the Sierra Oaks office here in Sacramento. Interestingly enough, I actually live like 2 blocks away from American River College myself.
Oh,
so
okay.
What up, everyone? I'm a former Beaver myself. I'm the president-elect for 2021 of the Sacramento Association of Realtors, and I've been a realtor for over 15 years now. I got my license in 2005 and kind of fell into it on accident, actually. I had purchased and sold a couple of homes in my 20s and thought, oh, I can do that just as well as my agent did, and I can do it better. I don't need someone to help me. So I got my license mostly just to do transactions for myself, but like a week after my license became active, I actually lost my job. My company that I was working for folded. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to jump into real estate, this is as good a time as any. So I did, and I never looked back, and it's been great to me ever since.
Okay, awesome. Well, maybe you can share with us some of the things that you do that are kind of traditional marketing strategies and tactics. And then if you could, what are some commonly used marketing strategies in this field of work?
I mean, there are a number of marketing strategies in real estate. There are so many ways to be successful in this business. Some of the more traditional type marketing, at least of this era, would be, have a website. Interestingly, when I got into real estate in 2005, most people didn't have websites. So that was a relatively new thing. Now, I mean, every realtor has at least some kind of information page or something, but I would say that, have at the very minimum a website. Social media business pages are another really popular way that people advertise themselves. I actually have a blog, which has been really, really great for business, for search engine optimization, and for people finding me kind of organically who are looking for real estate in Sacramento. A lot of agents will do open house type marketing, which actually is not legal right now with COVID. But that's actually one way that a lot of realtors get business, is just by holding other people's listings open. Postcard marketing. A lot of marketing, there's kind of this distinction. A lot of realtors will market themselves and then market themselves by way of their listings. So I have a listing, my sign is in the ground, I'm marketing that listing, and by virtue of marketing the listing, I'm marketing myself. So there's kind of this distinction between the two.
Great. Yeah, that's really helpful. I am going to ask, has any of this changed during the pandemic? You mentioned some things aren't allowed right now. Has marketing changed since COVID has hit us?
In real estate, it definitely has, because our high touch environment that we're used to is really not allowed right now. Yeah. So we've had to get a little bit more creative to find ways to substitute the in-person interaction and the in-person type marketing with other means of doing things. I know agents who have gotten really creative and done some Zoom type webinars, how to buy or sell a home, do a little class on the internet, class on Zoom, that kind of thing. Where before, I had never used Zoom a year ago. And now everybody uses Zoom. So I think people have gotten a little bit creative to try to, emulate what we would normally do in person. And you can actually reach so many more people via, something like Zoom. So it's actually created some efficiencies as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, we're not allowed to interact with people, or we're supposed to limit our interaction with people face to face. So a lot of what we've gotten used to in the last year, has been really helpful for, emulating that and maybe making it more productive.
Great. I'm going to go off script a little bit, if that's okay with you. Sure. I'm wondering if you can talk to us a little bit about who your customers are. We can kind of generally bucket someone looking to either buy or sell a home, but can you speak a little bit about if you've got a niche kind of market, or how you would more narrowly define your customers?
Yeah, I work with a couple different types of clients. The first bucket of clients would be sellers who are selling homes where the owner has passed away. So I work with a lot of heirs to estates, so probate type sales where someone's died. They don't have a lot of structure set up to their estate, and so the court actually steps in via this process called probate to determine how the estate's assets get distributed. So there are a lot of nuances in real estate relative to that kind of transaction. So I do a lot of probate sales and trust sales, where a trust is a legal mechanism to establish, who takes over when someone dies, and then how their estate gets distributed. So I work with a lot of people who have passed away and their estate is selling the house. There's a specific set of ways that I tend to get in front of those people. I also work with a lot of distressed sellers. The market for this is a little more slim today than it was, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. But when our market was really turned upside down in the Great Recession, I developed this really kind of unique at the time skill set for doing distressed property sales, so short sales, where the seller is upside down in their property. And they need to get out from underneath it. So you can actually negotiate with the mortgage companies and other lien holders on the properties to negotiate the payments. I mean, sorry, not the payments, the payoff balances to be lower so that the seller can sell the house and get out from underneath it. So there's a very specific way you want to market to those people too. And then I work with, a lot of buyers, first-time buyers, buyers who need to sell a home and then buy something different. And then I also work with a lot of people who relocate out of state.
Okay.
So those are kind of the main subsets of clients that I work with. I mean, clearly there are buyers and sellers of all types, but those are the main ones that I work with.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think we're talking about we've been talking about customers and how to kind of separate and distinguish different types of customers. So I think that'll be helpful for everyone to hear. How do you find new customers? You kind of alluded to it. Maybe you can give us just a couple nuggets on example of one type of customer and how you might be able to reach them or how they would find you.
Sure. So I think the easiest example I can give is probably the distressed sellers. Now, granted, our market doesn't have as many of those today as it did a few years ago, but I put out a lot of blog related content on short sales, about foreclosures, about how to work with different banks to negotiate lower payoff balances. And, again, at the time that the market was really overloaded with distressed property owners, people with that skill set to actually do that type of sale were kind of few and far between. So I really studied up on it. I got some additional education specific to that. So, for example, if you've heard of the Certified Distressed Property Expert, I got that designation. There are a couple other designations that I got just to kind of bone up my knowledge base in that area. But I put out a lot of content online that people found by Googling short sale Sacramento. I own a lot of domain names, so I published a lot of content and disseminated it through those means. So like I own SacramentoShortSaleAgent.com and some other domains relative to that. And then you can really easily target those types of people because when someone goes into default on their mortgage, it's actually public information. There are publicly recorded notices that those people are in default. So if you want to target them and buy a list of those people, it's really easy to do. And then you can, market to those people directly.
Awesome. Those are really helpful insights, I think. So I have a kind of technical marketing question. Do you plan, or how do you plan your marketing? Do you have like a formal plan, or does that seem silly in this day and age? Is it ever evolving, or how do you think about marketing like the year ahead, for example?
Yeah, I used to be a lot more structured about it than I am now. Maybe I've gotten lazy in my 15 years of real estate because I have such a big client base now. I don't market nearly as much as I used to. I don't have to because I have so many people that refer business to me after, helping hundreds of people at this point in my career. So I used to be really structured about it. I used to plan my blog posts out like months in advance. I'd have a schedule that I would set, like, okay, I'm going to research this particular topic and I'm going to write about doing short sales with Bank of America. And then, I'm going to write one about how to do it with Chase. And I'd calendar it out. And then I'd have other things that I would fill in between that. But, in between, determining what types of people I wanted to target and what types of clients I wanted. I mean, I got really regimented about it. Now that I'm this far in, I probably blog once, maybe once a week, every other week. And I'm not nearly as targeted about it, but I used to be really, really regimented about how I did it.
Yeah, that's interesting. You're very content focused, which is cool and not what I thought you would say. It's kind of the opposite maybe of like the stereotype I have in my mind of how you market and you shake hands and you belong to the chamber and you drop things off at people's doors. It's what you're describing is very exactly in line with traditional marketing trends, right? Like this is what all marketers are focused on is content, storytelling, education, being the go-to resource for your customer base. It's cool. It's cool to hear your side of it, your example.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of ways people can be successful. And I personally, I'm kind of an introvert. So to me, like going and glad handing at a networking event, there would be no greater help for me. So like, for me to be able to put out content that people find to be useful, by the time they actually reach out to me and connect, they've already mostly decided that they want to work with me. So that's really it. That's really great for me. But if I had to go sit at a networking event and mingle with people, like, oh my God, I think I'd not be a realtor if that's how I had to get my business.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to hear you say that you're very digital first, focused on things that happen over the internet. It's cool and timely and topical. So I think maybe the last question I will ask you is, I explained to you over email that we've got a lot of students interested in working in this field in the class. Do you have any advice for them over the next year or 2 years as they're thinking about their career?
Yeah, I think right now is an interesting time to try to get into the market. If you want to get a real estate license, I would, there have been some barriers even to that recently because of COVID and the DRE shutting down, like even just being able to take tests and get the license. But that's opened up quite a bit, like even in just the last month. So my suggestion would be, if that's what you want to do, focus on it. Get the license, because it takes a while. If you decide that you want to be a realtor, you're not going to be licensed tomorrow or even a month from now or 2 months from now. I mean, this is a 6 to 12 month endeavor if you really hit it hard. So if that's what you want to do, make the decision and commit to it and get the license. And then when you get the license, it's really important, I think, to make sure that you affiliate with the right brokerage. And by that, the right brokerage that's the right cultural fit for you, that provides you what you need. And you probably won't know exactly what you need going into it. I mean, I know I didn't. I picked the wrong brokerage for me straight out of the gate. And there are so many different brokerages to choose from. Take your time and interview them, because any of them will hire you. You need a pulse and a license to get hired, but make sure that you pick the one that seems to have the best fit for what you want out of it. The Sacramento Association of Realtors, actually used to teach a class. I used to teach it at the association about how to pick the right brokerage.
Oh, cool.
So, make sure that you affiliate with the best fit for you. And then as far as, hitting the ground running, it's a hard business. In my personal sphere, I mean, especially now, I know a million realtors, but when I first got licensed, in my personal sphere of friends, I knew like a dozen realtors. And to get someone to actually work with you, especially when you're new, is really, really challenging. So you've really got to, figure some things out in advance and have a good plan. You've got time to plan for it, because it's going to take you a good 6 to 12 months to get your license. But don't just get your license and think that people are going to want to work with you, because they don't. You really, it's good that your students are taking this class, because they'll have some of the tools to figure out how to get in front of people and how to get the message across and how to market. But it's really critical that you pick the right brokerage, so that you don't take 2 steps backwards when you have to reaffiliate with somebody else. Join the association, get as much education about real estate as possible, like I did. I mean, develop those little niches, because there are lots of different types of clients. Decide who you want to work with, and then market to those people as directly as you can. There are many ways to be successful in doing that, but figure out who you want to work with and target them, and then figure out like 2 or 3 different things that you think you can be successful at to market yourself and get business, and hit those hard and focus on those things. Because if you try to shotgun out a bunch of different marketing strategies, none of them are going to be very effective. So pick like 2 or 3 different things and get really, really good at them, and pick 2 or 3 different types of clients and get really, really good at targeting them, and get very, very focused on what you're doing. Because you can be, I forget what the expression is, but you're like a master of nothing, or what is it? I forget what the
But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, you're either get focused in what you're doing. Be specific and be strategic about how you approach it. So hopefully that's helpful.
It's really helpful. What's kind of cool about what you're saying is it's convergence of all the things we're really interested in this class, which is your marketing focused, and particularly in the content space. Ironically, and very cool that you're also focused on education, which all of these students are working on at the moment, not just education in a more traditional classroom setting, but you're educating even beyond the classroom. And that's part of your marketing. It's cool. It's a nice convergence of all things that matter to us in the class. So we're really appreciative of your time. This has been really helpful. I'm going to find your blog and I'm going to put a link below so students can check it out. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's linked in the emails that you and I have exchanged, but it's sacreblog.com. And then, you know, if your students are interested in real estate, if any of them want to get in touch with me directly, I would totally welcome that. You know, I talk to a lot of people who are wanting to get into the business, especially as, you know, leadership at our association. So happy to talk to any of them anytime.
Thank you. Thanks for your time and for all your insights. I'll shoot you a little thank you note, but we'll be in touch, I'm sure. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good night.
You too.